Howdy, soldiers. I have to show you these sick-ass snake hoop earrings that I just got. I love them, but they're pretty heavy, so there might be a costume change later in this video. Hark! What do I hear in the distance? Could that be the melodious sound of a city-sponsored high-power snowblower? Of course they have to snowblow now, because it freaking snowed at the end of February. So I really hope you guys can't hear that. For Valentine's Day, I did an anti-Valentine's Day special where we talked about all of the romance tropes that need to go to jail. And a bunch of people in that video asked for books that do those tropes, but do them right. Tropes themselves are not good nor bad. They are fully in neutral territory. They are simply a storytelling device per the genre that you are writing in. Even though I don't like them, it's not out of place for a love triangle to be in a romance book, because it is one of the tropes that the genre is known for. Of course, all writing is subjective, and if you like some of the tropes that I don't like, that's totally fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and these are just my opinions. So for today's chatty afternoon video, we're going to go over a list of books that I love with tropes that I hate, and how I think the author twisted and used that trope to their advantage. Now, some of these are tropes that I pulled out of my Romance Trope Jail video, and some of them are new that I picked out of the ether, because we have to keep this channel unpredictable and spicy. Number one was mentioned in the original video, and that is insta-love. People are getting insta-love and insta-lust mixed up, because absolutely you can look at somebody and be like, oh my god, I'm so into them, but you're not necessarily looking at someone and going, oh my god, I love them. I think insta-love is a lazy way to write. That being said, a book that has an insta-love trope that I love to this day, an oldie but a goodie from back in 2016, is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is about Natasha and Daniel, two New York teens who happen to bump into each other 12 hours before Natasha's family is being deported out of the States. In those 12 hours, they meet and become friends and fall in love. And it's this weird take on fate and what tiny choices have led you to this moment in particular. And minor spoiler alert, they don't end up together by the end of the book, because they are both on separate paths of their lives, and they're just spending this one day, these 12 hours together. And it really shows how much people can impact you on a small scale. Every single choice I've ever made in my entire life has led me to this particular moment, where I'm standing in front of you via a camera, filming a YouTube video, alone, in my apartment, on a weekend, yelling about books. Very similar to insta-love is another trope that showed up in my Romance Trope Jail, and that is soulmates. And if you've been here for a while, or even you just watched that video, you know that I hate soulmate AUs just so much. Just like insta-love, I think this is lazy writing, because you don't need a reason for your characters to fall in love. You just go, oh, but they're soulmates. And it's like, oh, okay. And most of the time, I don't know why the stars or fate or the universe decided that these two people should be soulmates. Because usually the guy is like a total asshole and the girl doesn't even like him at the beginning. And it's like, what? This is not a good start to a relationship, fate. I feel like you should know better. Make them bond over like Thai food and Xbox or something. That being said, a book that I think does the soulmate trope right is Bonecryer's Moon by Catherine Purdy, where our two main characters are apprentices of a convent of warrior nuns, and to be able to ferry the souls of the dead to another world, they need to kill their true love. But then our other character, Sebastian, is her soulmate, but he has a grudge against these warrior nuns because they killed his father, and then the two of them are forced proximity soulmates, but also they hate each other for a good reason. The question comes up of, what do soulmates do? How do they act around one another? Would a soulmate do this particular thing? I love that she makes you question the validity of soulmates, and also would you put your soulmate above your other higher purpose? This book is the trolley problem, but with necromancy. This book is so freaking cool. It has such an amazing concept, and I love the way that Catherine Purdy wrote all of these little caveats into being a soulmate. Oh, my earlobes are already not happy. Number 3 is another one that was in my Romance Trope Jail video, because it's freaking creepy and sometimes illegal, and that is the age gap trope, specifically the paranormal age gap trope. We all know it. You got the 1,000-year-old vampire, demon, fallen angel, fae dude, guy, lord, who falls in love with the usually underage female protagonist. Once again, what do you, an 800-year-old fairy lord, have in common with a, for this example, we'll use a legal age of 19-year-old girl, a fraction of your age? Like, do you need that many years to grow and mature to the same level as a 19-year-old girl? Because that's a little sus. We're talking about contemporary romances, which I have read a few. 5 to 10 years, I'm like, fine, okay, you know what? Age gap relationships, sometimes you can make it work. But when the guy is like a 50-year-old billionaire and the girl's like a 21-year-old college student, it doesn't matter that they are both legal age, it's predatory. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of age gap relationships. However, there is one book that I actually think set like the precedent for questioning these large supernatural paranormal age gaps in YA particularly. And that is Drew and Kristoff from Strange Angels by Lily St. Croix. To this day, I love this series. I love Drew so much. She is a supernatural monster hunter, and then her father gets turned into a monster, and now she's on the run, and there's like people coming after her, because actually she's part vampire, and that's bad. And she does get into a love triangle with a werewolf and a vampire. The werewolf is the same age as her, but the vampire is a senior citizen. She constantly is questioning that because she is attracted to him because he's supernaturally beautiful and, you know, appeals to the vampire side of herself, and he's also like training her. But she's super weirded out over the fact that he knew her mom, and because of his age has had like so much time to accrue wealth and is in like these whole other social status circles than she is. But she specifically says, hey, I like you, but you're too old for me. And if I'm going to live like a vampire, I'm gonna live a couple hundred years, I need to live that before we could ever like get together. I'm like, wow, a practical, rational female main character from a paranormal book in 2009. Who would have thought? Next trope from Trope Jail, the virginity trope. This can literally be anything where we have to make a big deal over the fact that the main character is a virgin. I get mad at this in particular because there's so much misinformation floating around in books that it's very frustrating to read, and then also have these themes of like purity and magic be like reinforced. What even is sex these days and in this economy? Like, we know that sex doesn't have to involve penetration. It can be between a multitude of people with different types of bodies. I think it's ridiculous, and we shouldn't be putting all of this weird patriarchal gender expectation stuff on particularly women and people born in female bodies to have or not have sex, because it's a personal choice, and also like it doesn't make you a whole new person. It just doesn't. So a book that I think explores this idea very well is The Hollow Gods by A.J. Vranna. At the beginning of this new adult paranormal thriller, our main character Mia is a virgin, and she eventually, spoiler alert, has sex with this snack of a man, Kai, who maybe is also kind of a werewolf. The first time that the two of them get down and dirty, and Mia's expecting Kai to be really weird about like being with a virgin and stuff, he's totally fine with it, and they just have a conversation where he's like, okay, so I'll just like we'll work slow, and like let me know if anything is not feeling good, and we'll just like go from there. And then after they're done, they're kind of like, how was that? Was that good? Yeah? You liked it? Any feedback? No? Okay, do you want to do it again? Sure. Okay, let's do it again sometime. This next trope is one I added in for the specific purpose of talking about a specific book, because I just finished Seven Faceless Saints by M.K. Lobb, and I need to talk to somebody about it. The trope that I think does this well is the broken man trope. Come on, we all know it. It's the man who went to war, who had a rough childhood, who had his parents die and is now a billionaire who hates everybody and is constantly going on about like how broken and self-loathing he is. He doesn't deserve anybody, and he needs a sunshine female love interest to show him that there's love in the world and fix him for everybody else. And when I started reading Damien's point of view, I was like, all right, here it comes with the self-loathing. But a couple chapters in, and I'm like, oh my god, Damien, my little baby cinnamon roll. Okay, we're gonna work through this together, baby. It's you and me, we're gonna do this. This is an Italian-inspired military fantasy horror novel. On one hand, we have the people descended from the ancient saints that have magic, and this is Ross. And then we also have the regular humans who don't have magic, who are being sent to fight in the saintless war, which is Damien. So Ross and Damien used to be friends, but then he got sent away, and her father got killed by the people that he's working for, so like obviously some bad blood there. The mental health representation representation of people with PTSD and depression and anxiety and insomnia was so well done. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of these self-loathing love interests. Usually you have the dude that's like, I'm so bad for the world, I'm so sad all the time, oh no, I'm so bad, I'm such a bad person, oh no. And then like that's it, when we don't get anything from him until the female comes in and like fixes him with sex or whatever. But in here, Ross is never the person that is trying to fix him. She's constantly on him to fix himself and like stand up for himself and tell people what his needs are. He fully has to confront his own religious trauma and PTSD of war, and it's so great to see him working through that and eventually getting help working through that and realizing he has a good support system. I really like this book, and even though Roz is Roz, I really enjoyed Damien's character development throughout this. A trope that I did not put in the Valentine's Day video because honestly I forgot it, but that is the trope, and unfortunately a prevalent idea in society, that sex and love will fix everything. Oh, you're having a fight? Just bang and everything will be fine afterward. Oh, that man is a serial killer? Don't worry, if you love him enough, he'll change. Will the girl you like not stop talking? Don't worry, push her up against a wall and kiss her. Without her consent, she'll love that. But a lot of romance novels just have two characters fighting and then kissing, and then fighting and then kissing, and fighting and then kissing, and that is not what, like, tension is. If someone hurts you, and then they kiss you, that doesn't absolve them of doing the thing that hurt you. A duology that explores this in the right way is the Bridge Kingdoms duology by Danielle L. Jensen. This is a new adult fantasy duology that I love, that centers the arranged marriage between Laura and Aaron is king of the Bridge Kingdom, and Laura is secretly an assassin that has been sent to kill him. And even though when she gets there, she learns more about her husband's country and their ways, and she falls in love, and oh hey, maybe actually we don't want to make war on them, that's bad. At the end of the first book, she royally fucks up. Like, bad shit happens at the end of Bridge Kingdom, and she knows that this is not something that she can just go and kiss away. So throughout Traitor Queen, she is constantly fighting to find ways to make better her wrongs and reach out to Aaron, who now hates her, but put in effort to fix what she has done wrong, not because she wants to impress Aaron, but because it is the right thing to do. And watching the two of them reconcile over something that is very unforgivable is just, ooh, immaculate tension. It also shows that even though you may kiss or like get a little sexy with somebody, that doesn't mean that they forgive you either. I freaking love Danielle L. Jensen so much. She's so good. Oh my god, my ears are on fire. Okay, I'm gonna have to make a costume change. 1 second. Oh my god, so much better. We exchanged some snakes for some other snakes. Yes, my ear holes were like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? I'm making content, baby. I need to wear some new cool things each week. All right, where the hell were we? Second last, the love triangle trope. I think the tension of the will they, won't they between one girl choosing between two guys is always redundant because you can usually tell which she's going to end up with, like, before even the first book is over. And because it's not actually a triangle, it's just a V, because you have the one female main character and the two love interests. Usually the love interests are like the good one and the bad one, and there's like no nuance besides that. Once again, why do you like each of them? It can't just be because they're hot. But of course, there are exceptions to every rule. Firstly is Defend the Dawn, sequel to Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer, which is her fantasy Robin Hood retelling series. Tessa and Court get together in the first book, but in the second book, we are introduced to a new character, Captain Blakemore, when they are all on a ship in close quarters on a royal quest. And the tension of this triangle is just explores the expectations of being with somebody who is a different rank than you, and then also kind of falling in love with a construct of a person instead of the actual person themselves. And because we get multiple POVs, we get to see into why each character thinks that they are a good match for that person or not a good match for that person, and how messily politics and love play together. So I think this is a really good love triangle that I was not expecting. And then Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lin Tan has a wonderful love triangle, because even now I have not read the sequel, and I can't tell who she's gonna pick. Do you know how rare that is? Us book people, we're little super sleuths when we want to be, and I can't figure it out. I can't find the foreshadowing that's gonna tell me, ooh, the uncertainty of it all. This is a retelling of the Chinese myth of Shangge and Hao Yi, and our main character, Xi Yin, is in a love triangle with the general of her military unit, but also with the prince of the Celestial Kingdom. Both sides have very convincing arguments to me as to why she should end up with either of them, if she even needs to end up with a partner, because I don't think so. She's freaking badass enough as it is. She freaking speaks to dragons and has a magical bow and arrow. Like, girl, you do not need a man. But if she did, both of these men are going to treat her right, just in different ways. It is enchanting, it is romantic, and I need to pick up the sequel. And lastly, I saved the one that I got the most angry about for last, and that is the miscommunication trope. If your entire plotline could be solved by having two characters in a room having one conversation, that's not good tension. I hate this so much because it's so frustrating to read, so it is very rare that I actually endorse a book that has a miscommunication trope. And of course the day has come. And of course it was freaking Cassandra Clare who had to do it. This is miscommunication in a love triangle, and that really goes to show how much that you as an author and a writer can like twist something to your advantage and make people feel feelings, because the miscommunication between James and Cordelia and Matthew had me so mad. This is Chain of Iron, the second of the Last Hours trilogy. You can see Queen of Nothing over there, this chonky lady over there. Cassandra Clare is known for her love triangles. I literally didn't even mention Clockwork Princess because I've yelled about it so much being like the primary perfect example of a love triangle. So slight spoilers for this series, but after the events of the first novel, James and Cordelia enter into this fake marriage, even though both of them actually do have true feelings for one another, but they can't tell each other that because Shadowhunter politics. So Matthew, who is James's best friend and Parabati, wants to court Cordelia, and Cordelia doesn't think that James loves her, so she's like, okay, I'll go with Matthew, and then none of them will talk to each other because they're all afraid of like hurting the other person. And that miscommunication and that misunderstanding freaking rocked my world in this book, and also in the Chain of Thorns. This is the fun kind of communication because you get multiple POVs, so as a reader you know that everybody else is like trying not to hurt somebody but also being scared of being vulnerable, and then trying to be vulnerable at the wrong moment, and just like the way that you know, and you just want everyone to have one big conversation, but you know they can't have it. Oh, it is just, that is my kryptonite. That is my drug of choice. And I think that is that on that. There are a bunch of books I love featuring a bunch of tropes I hate. Of course, please leave down below in the comments some books you think do tropes that you hate well. I'm not saying if a book doesn't have a new twist on a trope that like it's bad, or I think it has less value or anything. Like, of course, it's fun to suspend your disbelief and be like, ah yes, I am special enough that a magic sword would choose me, you know? Why not? So if we're gonna go on an adventure to save the world, can we at least do it like next Wednesday? Because I'm pretty busy until then. But if an author can make me love a trope that I usually hate, like, that's fun. I want to get on that ride. I'm gonna go get some more water because I've drank so much Diet Coke in the last 2 days that I feel like I am on a fully other dimensional level. Also maybe ice my earlobes because they are letting me know they are not happy with me. You know where to click to like the video. You know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!